Well, hello everybody, and welcome back to the channel, my friends. Good news, today it's Star Trek, the original series, Season 1, Episode 26, Errand of Mercy. I need to be with the original crew, so I am not wasting time. Do me a favor, hit that like button, smash that subscribe, ring that bell for notifications, and you'll be alerted next time we go live with the original series, or Lower Decks, or The Expanse, or any of our sci-fi offerings. And of course, if you'd like anything that we do early or in its full-length format, link to the Patreons in the description. Hate Patreon? Join our YouTube memberships and get the episodes a day early. But my friends, all that is then and this is now, and now I need some original crew adventures. I need to see my beauty, the Enterprise, so let's get into it. Prepare to engage maximum warp reaction, and away we go. Look at that beauty. Look at that beauty. Oh, Sulu at the helm.
Captain, we've reached the designated position for scanning the coded directive.
Good.
You rarely see somebody at that station.
Negotiations with the Klingon Empire are on the verge of breaking down. Starfleet Command anticipates a surprise attack.
The Klingons.
To Organia and take whatever steps are necessary.
Organia?
The Klingons from using it as a base. Organia's description, Mr. Spock.
Inhabited by humanoids, very peaceful.
Coolly blocked shot, especially with Sulu right in the back there.
Captain, the automatic deflector screen just popped on. Body approaching.
Configuration, Mr. Sulu.
Whoa! Klingons.
Laserbanks, lock on. Return fire.
Wow. Wow, this is the...
100% dispersal pattern.
We hit him, Captain. He's hurt.
Good.
Only drifting debris. We got him.
All hands, maintain general alert. Well, we've been anticipating an attack. I'd say what we've just experienced very nearly qualified.
Do the Klingons have cloaking device yet? Because that seems like a...
Points relay from Starfleet Command, Captain. Code 1.
What's that mean? War?
Well, there it is. War.
Yep.
War or not, we've still got a job to do. Denying Organia to the Klingons.
With the outbreak of hostilities, that might not be easy.
Wow.
The trigger's been pulled. We've got to get there before the hammer falls. Ahead, warp factor 7.
All right. It's a race against time. Tension's already up. I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it. Jim's going to tell us about the final frontier here so we can talk for a second. You know, they do a really good job in this show of establishing how we should feel going into it. Most of the time it's tense. Most of the time our stakes are, if they're not delivered in the open, the stakes are at least alluded to or hinted at in the open. High stakes here. You know, if Code 1 is to be believed, war has been declared, and now you got to save a natural incursionary planet, like you said, the innocent along the path of conquering. So, it's funny because this is the first even mention of the Klingons, and we're going to get Klingons mentioned and appearing, I believe. I don't think they've mentioned the Klingons before. And I've never heard of Errand of Mercy. Honestly, I would have thought that in all of my Q&A stuff, I would have, first appearance of the Klingons would have been spoiled for me. Look at that beauty.
We have reached Organia and established standard orbit.
Do the Klingons have cloaking devices now, though?
Mr. Spock and I are going down to the planet's surface. You will be in command. Your responsibility is to the Enterprise, not to us. Is that clear?
Perfectly, sir.
If there is a fleet of them, you'll get out of here, Mr. Sulu.
Yeah.
But, Captain...
No buts.
You got to run.
You'll get to safety and alert the fleet. You will not attack alone. Mr. Spock and I will be all right. Mr. Spock, let's you and I pay the Organians a visit.
Sulu in command. Oh, we're going outside.
You think they have people beaming down every day?
Yes.
That's what I was just going to say. People walking around with green goats and, people materializing.
Quite large.
Yes. A fortress, perhaps. A castle.
Whatever it is, it would seem to be inconsistent with the reports we've been given on this culture.
Welcome. Reception committee?
Seems so.
By the music you hear, I may be evil.
We don't have anybody in authority, but I am the chairman of the Council of Elders. Perhaps I would do.
No.
Is there someplace we can go and talk?
Oh, yes, our council chambers are nearby. Please.
Now all we have to do is ride the Pirates of the Caribbean, and we'll be there.
If you don't mind, I should like to wander about the village and make some studies.
Of course, my friend. Our village is yours.
What are you going to find, Mr. Spock?
Gentlemen, my government has informed me that the Klingons are expected to move against your planet with the objective of making it a base of operation.
Look at those boots.
What you're saying, Captain, is that we seem to have a choice between dealing with you or your enemies.
No, sir.
You won't be dealing with them.
We offer you protection.
We thank you for your altruistic offer, Captain, but we really do not need your protection.
Why is that?
We have nothing that anybody could want.
You already have some protection. Who's up in that fortress?
The Klingons will move against you just as surely as your sun rises. We will help you.
I'm getting Lando vibes from this one. There's been a deal already made.
You keep insisting that there's no danger. I keep assuring you that there is. Would you mind telling me?
It is our way of life, Captain.
That's the first thing that would be lost.
They've already done something, Jim.
I'm a soldier, not a diplomat. I can only tell you the truth.
You're not really a soldier either, Jim. I would never define Jim as a soldier. I mean, he's got a great military mind, but...
They are totally stagnant. There is no evidence of any progress as far back as my tricorder can register.
It doesn't seem likely.
Nevertheless,
they're stagnant.
of thousands of years, there has been absolutely no advancement, no significant change in their physical environment.
Wow.
Of an arrested culture.
Thank you, Mr. Spock.
Arrested culture. What a cool name. Or term.
We have discussed your offer, Captain, and our opinion is unchanged. We are in no danger. We thank you for your kind offer of assistance, although we must decline it.
All right.
Strongly recommend that you leave Organia before you yourselves are endangered.
Gentlemen, I must get you to reconsider. In addition to military aid, we can send you specialists, technicians. We can show you how to feed 1,000 people where one was fed before. We can help you build schools.
Sounds like world building.
Your public facilities are almost non-existent. We can help you remake your world.
Are we in the business of world building now?
Kirk here.
Captain, a large number of Klingon vessels have just arrived.
Whoa! Get out of there, get out of there, get out of there.
Captain, there is no danger.
Airborne, 8 space vehicles have assumed orbit around our planet. They are activating their material transmission units.
How do you know that?
We must be sure that you are not harmed.
Airborne. Several hundred men have appeared near the Citadel.
How do you know this?
How does he know that?
Oh, our friend Trefane is really quite intuitive. You can rest assured that what he says is absolutely correct.
He's a precog?
We're stranded here. A Klingon occupation army.
I'm more interested in the fact that this guy's telepathic or something.
Spock and I are trapped on the planet Organia, which is in the process of being occupied by the forces of the Klingon Empire.
Wow, the Klingons really made like a...
Our phasers are gone.
What do you mean?
Did you take them?
Yes, Captain, I took them. Were you armed, you might be tempted to use violence, and that we cannot permit.
What's going on?
Mr. Spock presents a problem. He does not look like an Organian.
A Vulcan trader, perhaps.
Vulcan merchants are not uncommon, Captain. It is a practical approach.
What about the rest of you?
Meanwhile,
I am Aelborn, temporary head of the council. I bid you welcome.
No doubt you do. I am Kur, military governor of Organia.
oh, already.
Who are you?
Oh, he is Barona, one of our leading citizens.
And he has no tongue?
I have a tongue.
Good. You will be taught how to use it.
Keep your shit about you, Jim.
You do not look like a storekeeper. Take this man. Vulcans are members of the Federation. He may be a spy.
He's no spy.
Have we a ram among the sheep? You object to us taking him?
Yeah,
So you welcome me. You also welcome me?
sure, Core.
Good, honest hatred. Very refreshing.
I like this guy.
You are now subjects of the Klingon Empire. You will find there are many rules and regulations. They will be posted.
What do they have that they can keep themselves safe?
I need your obedience. Nothing more. Will I have it?
Sure, yeah.
I shall need a representative from among you. liaison between the forces of the occupation and the civil population. Smile and smile.
That would drive me crazy,
I
too.
don't trust men who smile too much.
You're the liaison.
You, Baroner.
Yep.
You're the man.
Me? I don't want the job.
Have I asked whether or not you want it?
You seem to be in command.
We Klingons have a reputation for ruthlessness. You will find that it is deserved. Should one Klingon soldier be killed,
10.
1,000.
Ooh, shit.
We shall cause you no trouble.
I'm sure you will not.
I really like this guy.
Come with me. I will familiarize you with your new duties.
What about Mr. Spock?
You are concerned.
He is my friend.
You have a poor choice of friends. Take him. You do not like to be pushed.
He's gonna read you, Jim. He already has.
Maybe a man I can deal with, Barona.
I like that name, Barona.
Come with me.
I really like this character. It's just, what do they do in Friends? That's what it looks like. He was like,
From this day on, no public assemblages of more than 3.
Klingon Empire Proclamation.
Neighborhood controls will be established. Hostages selected.
Oh my God, where's Bones? We need some whiskey. No Bones and Scotty so far, right?
He is what he claims to be, Commander. A Vulcanian merchant named Spock.
You're sure?
I used Force 4, which is sufficient to break down any pretense.
Force 4.
Would you like to try our little truth finder? It's a mind sifter or mind ripper, depending on how much force is used. It is a tool, a weapon, somewhat drastic, but...
Somewhat drastic.
You will receive our official notifications as soon as they are published. In the meantime, keep the people in order.
That was an interesting reaction shot. It's a choice in a conversation to hold on a reaction shot while someone else is delivering lines. And that was a kind of a weird one.
If we could prove to them, they could do something to strike back, to keep the Klingons off balance.
Verbal persuasion seems to be ineffective. Perhaps a more direct approach.
An example?
That's exactly what I had in mind. Mr. Spock, did I or did I not see something that looked like a munitions dump outside of Coors headquarters?
You did.
We're short of tools.
I'm certain the Klingons will provide whatever is necessary.
It's a pleasure doing business with you, Mr. Spock.
So what are you going to do? This is some type of resistance? Remember, 1,000 Organians for every Klingon. Something tells me they aren't bullshitting either. I thought he was going right up those steps. That is a grenade.
These crates contain chemical explosives. They should make a more satisfactory display.
6, 5, 4.
6? How about like 60, Spock?
You were right, Mr. Spock. A most satisfactory display.
Of course we blew it up. Deliberately.
That's a hard cut.
It was violence.
Yeah.
But you don't have to be sheep, you can be wolves.
Terrible. To destroy.
What's going on with these guys?
Make Organia useless to them.
Our fleet will eventually arrive.
Eventually.
I implore you never to do such a thing again.
Why? Are you afraid of retribution?
How little you understand us, Captain.
Yeah, the Organian secret is this is the episode.
Fight and protect the ones you love.
Speak of courage, Jetson. Does courage mean so little to you?
Oh, shit.
Always it is the brave ones who die. The soldiers. I hope you will continue to savor the sweetness of your life. You disgust me.
What are you going to do with him, Commander?
What is always done with spies and saboteurs, he will be killed.
Yep.
After he has had first-hand experience.
With the Mind Ripper.
There's no need to use your machine on him, Commander. I can tell you his name. It is Captain James T. Kirk.
Elborn.
What?
I love this guy.
Captain of the USS Enterprise.
Oh, they know about you, Jimmy.
I had hoped to meet you in battle, but...
In the stars.
For some reason, he feels that he must destroy you, Commander. Just as you feel you must destroy him.
That's going to be rather difficult now.
Whew. This is a tense episode. I like it, man. It's a very, like French resistance type of shit.
Do you always betray your friends?
I didn't want you to harm him. I'm sorry, Captain. It was for the best. No harm would come of it.
These guys are fascinating.
Well, I have no desire to die for the likes of you.
I don't blame you, Captain. Lock up the Vulcan. Take the captain to my office.
I like the respect in adversaries. Captain of the Enterprise. He knew him. They'd probably been warned. You heard all this shit about the Enterprise. Captained by James T. Kirk.
You'll have a drink with me, Captain.
Yeah, why not?
I assure you it isn't drugged.
Do you think I'm going to sit here and just talk with the enemy?
You'll talk. Either here, now, voluntarily, or...
Yeah.
I know, of course, that it was you who destroyed our supplies last night.
Something was destroyed? Nothing inconsequential, I hope.
Hardly. They were quite important to us.
You knew what you were doing.
You of the Federation, you are much like us.
We're nothing like you.
Well?
We're a democratic body.
Come now, Captain, I'm not referring to minor ideological differences. I mean that we are similar as a species.
Yeah.
Here we are on a planet of sheep. 2 tigers. Predators. Hunters. Killers.
Yeah.
Excellent. Then it shall be a matter of testing each other's wills and power. Survival must be earned, Captain.
I like this guy.
Tell me about the dispersal of your star fleet.
Yeah, he wants troop movements.
Go climb a tree.
Go climb a tree.
I can get what I want through our mind scanner, but there would be very little of your mind left, Captain.
Listen, Cor would be super disappointed if you started giving the secrets.
This friend of yours, the Vulcan, he seems to have the ability to block our scanner. I think perhaps I will find out why. I will have him dissected. Your friend killed. Not a pleasant prospect, Captain. But it lies ahead for you unless you tell me everything I want to know. 12 hours, Captain.
It's a long time.
I respect you, Captain, but this is war.
Huh.
A game we Klingons play to win. Take him to the cell with his friend.
I don't want to say that, like, modern Klingons aren't this tactical, because I think they are. But this guy's more cerebral, and I really like that. And we've had plenty of Klingons that have exhibited similar characteristics that I can remember anyway from the movies. But I really like, just like military tactician type stuff. It fits better with Jim. I'll never forgive them for the death of my boy.
6 hours, 43 minutes. If the Klingons are punctual.
I think we can count on them being punctual.
Does Spock have like an internal clock? Or is he just constantly counting in his head?
Organians.
They do not seem to understand. Most peculiar.
Nevertheless, our orders still stand.
No, they've got something going on. Stagnant for 10,000 years for a reason.
Go.
Yes, your captors plan to do violence to you. That we cannot permit. I came to take you away.
You turned us over to them. You expect us to trust you now?
Yeah, they're navigating strange waters, Jim. I mean, right, you gonna look a gift horse in the mouth here? Or a gift Organian?
Commander,
Don't you see I'm busy?
the 2 Federation prisoners, they're gone.
The hell you say?
No one was at fault. The guards, 10 of them, were constantly on duty watching the cell. Then when we opened it to give them food, they simply weren't there.
If you're lying to me,
I swear.
implement Special Occupation Order number 4.
Kill them all. Oh, cool use of the music.
This idiotic placidity of yours, your refusal to do anything to protect yourselves.
They don't need to.
Federation prisoners have escaped. Obviously, with outside aid. They will be returned immediately.
Well, we will burn this place to the mother effing ground.
In the courtyard of my headquarters, 200 Organians have just been killed.
What?
In 2 hours, 200 more will die.
Wow.
Until the 2 Federation spies are turned over to us. This is the order of Kur.
I really like Kur, but I don't think he's making it out of this episode.
Well, Mr. Spock, it seems it's up to you and me.
Wasn't there a camera in this room?
You've told us a great deal about how you hate violence. Unless you tell me where those faces are, you're going to have more violence than you know what to do with.
Come on, Jim.
This is no matter. Perhaps you better let him have what he wants. He...
Very well, but it will do you no good. They are in that cabinet.
Right next to the butter. Oh, God, I think I was right.
Despite that, Mr. Spock and I are going to go out there and quite probably die in an attempt to show you that there are some things worth dying for.
There are only 2 of you against an army. Don't you realize that what you intend to do will be hopeless?
Yeah. What do these Organians have? I mean, he walked right into the prison. Obviously some mental powers.
Fane.
He will wait until darkness.
Then?
Terrible, inconceivable, savage.
It's a weird shot. Off-face camera delivery.
What would you say the odds are on our getting out of here?
Difficult to be precise, Captain. I should say approximately 7,824.7 to 1.
Ah.
Difficult to be precise?
Difficult to be precise.
Set your phaser on stun. We're after the top dog, not the members of the pack.
Very good.
But if the situation calls for it, we kill. Is that clear?
Clear, Captain.
No problem, Jim. This looks like the set, or at least the set piece anyway, with the stairs and the thing where Christopher Pike fought the guy with the spear, or took the spear in the chest and then fell on it in the cage.
Be hard. Prepare yourselves.
What do you all... Obviously, it's all mental. I wonder if they really killed 200 Organians, or they thought they killed 200 Organians.
Round up 200 more.
Yes, sir.
Fools! Will I have to kill them all?
Yeah, well...
I'm to gather 200 more.
To be killed?
This guy's a great first officer. Or second in command, or whatever he is. That was great.
What are the odds now?
Less than 7,000 to 1, Captain. It's remarkable we've gotten this far.
Less than 7,000 to 1. Well, getting better.
I like this running gag.
You have done well to get this far through my guards.
Thank you.
So, you are here.
We are.
You will be interested in knowing that a Federation fleet is on its way here.
Bitchin'.
Shall we wait and see the results before you kill me?
I don't intend to kill you unless I have to.
I intend to stun the shit out of you.
As we sit here in space above us, the destiny of the galaxy will be decided for the next 10,000 years.
I love this guy.
Can I offer you a drink? We can toast the victory of the Klingon fleet. Do you know why we are so strong? Because we are a unit. Each of us is part of the greater whole, always under surveillance. Even a commander like myself.
Under surveillance.
If you will note. Come on, Spock! Hey! Shoot! Shoot!
Oh! Ah! Oh! What is this, Spock?
Inexplicable, Captain. Extreme heat. Not only the weapons, but the bodies as well.
Here they come. So they must be like powers of the mind?
But we cannot permit you to harm yourselves.
What are you talking about?
Cool shot. That was extreme close.
All instruments of violence on this planet now radiate a temperature of 350 degrees.
The same conditions exist on both the Starfleets. There will be no battle.
Ridiculous.
I suggest you contact them. Your ship is now within range of your communications device.
Reactor Enterprise.
These guys are cool.
I can't explain it.
The ship's hot.
Closing in on the Klingon fleet when every control on our ship became too hot to handle.
Too hot to handle, too cold to hold.
Our power's gone. Our phaser banks are dead.
Stand by, Sulu.
Still got power to comms, though.
Unless both sides agree to an immediate cessation of hostilities, all your armed forces, wherever they may be, will be immediately immobilized.
Wow.
Now you step in with some kind of trick?
It is no trick, Commander.
It's a massive power.
All your military forces, wherever they are now completely paralyzed.
200 hostages killed.
No one has been killed, Captain.
I knew it.
No one has died here in uncounted thousands of years.
You have no right to dictate to our Federation
Or our empire?
how to handle their interstellar relations.
To wage war, Captain, to kill millions of innocent people, to destroy life on a planetary scale. Is that what you're defending?
This is awesome. This is like a parallel to the Cold War.
Oh, eventually you will have peace, but only after millions of people have died.
They can see it.
You and the Klingons will become fast friends. You will work together.
Never.
Your emotions are most discordant.
Wow, from the very beginning, they predicted the alliance.
Millions of years ago, Captain, we were humanoid like yourselves. But we have developed beyond the need of physical bodies. That of us which you see is mere appearance.
Captain, it's a trick. We can handle them. I have an army.
Cool shit. Now we're talking about like Q, Trelane. There's been a lot of people with some major league power. The Metrons, this is a major league powerful group here. I think Core is going to make it out of this episode. I really like him. I hope he comes back.
Fascinating.
Fascinating, baby.
Pure energy. Pure thought. Totally incorporeal.
The fields, the buildings, this citadel.
But the green goats.
I should say the Organians are as far above us on the evolutionary scale as we are above the amoeba.
Wow.
Well, Commander, I guess that takes care of the war. Obviously, the Organians aren't going to let us fight.
I'll see you in space.
A shame, Captain. It would have been glorious.
Oh, I dig the shit out of Core. We got to see him again. I know we won't, but damn, I love it. Cool character.
Engineering control.
Crosstalk. Oh my God, I love it.
We think of ourselves as the most powerful beings in the universe. It's unsettling to discover that we're wrong.
I like that admission from Jim. That's really cool for his character.
You and I have no reason to be embarrassed. We did, after all, beat the odds.
Oh, no, Mr. Spock. We didn't beat the odds. We didn't have a chance. The Organians raided the game.
Like it. Like it. Was that our leave line? Yep. We just got done watching Star Trek, the original series, Season 1, Episode 26, Errand of Mercy, and it was a good one. And the only thing we have left to do is to talk about it. All right, my friends, we just got done, as I said, watching Star Trek, the original series, Season 1, Episode 26, Errand of Mercy. Boy, first off, I mentioned this, I think maybe in the Patreon intro, but I don't know I never had heard of Errand of Mercy before. And during the reaction, I said, I can't believe that, the first mention of the Klingons, to my knowledge, I cannot remember them mentioning the Klingons before. First appearance of the Klingons. I honestly, to be very fair, I thought that I would have known about this episode, just running across it, kind of getting partially spoiled with something like, oh, first appearance of the Klingons, Errand of Mercy, but nothing. Had no idea that they were showing up. Nothing. Really, really cool stuff. Now, have the Klingons gone through a massive physical transformation? Yes. I'm going to say this right now, though. I'm not sure I need more examples from the original series. I need more examples of the Klingons as they were originally intended, because it's obvious that there were changes made. I would love to know why there were changes made too, but that's for the future. For right now is identifying the original concept of the Klingons. And from just this small, my experience, just to kind of recap, my experience with the Klingons are as follows. The movies, beginning with Wrath of Khan I've seen all the movies with the exception of I haven't seen the motion picture, and I haven't seen one or two of the Next Generation movies. I don't know which one. I forget, but there's like one or two that I have not seen of the Next Generation movies. But regardless, I've had some experiences, with Undiscovered Country and Search for Spock. I've had some examples of the Klingons, and I have watched, a handful of episodes of the Next Generation. So with Worf and things like that, and by handful, I mean like I've probably seen like 15 to 20 episodes of Next Generation. So, with all that being said, and with that, now that you know my limited kind of examples of the Klingons, I like this version of the Klingons. I think just initially, I like them better because I like the idea of, and not necessarily the appearance or anything like that. You could still have, if they really wanted, like, the ridges and all that stuff for the Klingons, cool, that's fine. It just seems like with Core was more of a military tactician, and you know yes, honor and everything was present in, Core's delivery and stuff, but it wasn't all encompassing. It wasn't like, honor of household and things like that, which obviously is a way to develop the Klingons, but then it becomes, none of that's apparent in Core. You know what I mean? Love for the Empire, sure, that's apparent, but there is a more, I don't like to use the term civilized, so I'm gonna say there is a more almost like societally intellectual delivery that Core gave, where he understands, where the Federation's coming from. He respects the leadership. So there's that kind of that military kind of admiration. But at the same time, there's more of a tactical mind at play. There's more of a diplomatic mind at play, not just immediately killing Kirk when he finds out he's the captain, or, doing something else to kind of gain honor, or, things like that. He was using him. He knew. And like, again, I think like that mind ripper, they call it the mind scanner or the mind ripper. I'm not sure that that's a device that modern day Klingons would use, and I don't mean that they wouldn't torture. I think they would, but that seems almost too non-physical for them. You know what I mean? Again, I'm getting off into the weeds a little bit because I don't know enough about the Klingon culture to really compare the two. I just know my knee-jerk initial reactions. And my knee-jerk initial reaction, like Christopher Lloyd's Klingon from Search for Spock was like my first example of a Klingon, and he's very military, very "arr" and all that stuff. If I can remember, I don't remember too much from Search for Spock, but this guy, yes, absolutely military minded, but just seemed more in control, less emotional outbursts, just more driven and very tactical and very, very cerebral and very, I loved the back and forth between him and Kirk. Kirk seemed to be the more emotionally like charged and invested in this, to the point where in the summation moments on the bridge during the conclusion of the episode, he actually apologizes for his actions. Like, what the fuck was I thinking? Which is really cool. And that was a needed scene. I think, there, because Kirk was acting a little too warmongery, like, bloodlusty down on the planet. Like, we've got to fight, we've got to do this, and arguing with the Organians and all that stuff, which made for a kind of a cool dynamic between he and Core, and that he was the one that was kind of like spun up, and Core was the one that was more, kind of appreciative of that, but at the same time didn't kind of allow himself to go that way until things kind of really got heated whenever they realized that the Organians were more than they appear. Great stuff, though, and it was another episode which you can say, it's very tough for me to be like, what episode of the original series isn't a classic episode, because it seems like almost every episode they are establishing a universe of canon that exists to this day, decades later, with the Klingons. And even from the jump, the Klingons had, even from this first episode of the Klingon Empire appearance, they even said and had the Organians say, well, in the future, you all become fast friends. That's crazy to make that leap, to have the alliance figured out with the Klingons. That is so, what wonderful world building that was. What a moment from the jump. You can never say that wasn't the plan. They had it from the jump. They made that statement. Now, I do know this about the Klingons. While never, actually, to be fair, I probably ran across like the title at some point. Errand of Mercy is the first Klingon appearance, but I lost it. I don't remember though. I don't remember. That seems very important, and I don't remember, coming across that beforehand in mentioning of the Klingons. What I did come across in the mentioning of the Klingons was that, and this was a something that I had read when I was doing my initial research for The Cage. I stumbled upon the first time I ever saw Gene L. Kuhn's name. And I believe, and I'm not, again, this is something that is definitely going to be in the Q&A section right here, that Gene L. Kuhn is the one that created the entire Klingon, the Klingon Empire, the initial customs, I guess, even like the shape of the ships and stuff like that. From my understanding, I'm going to clear all that up in Q&A because I want to be able to give the credit to the appropriate person, and I'm almost positive it's Gene L. Kuhn that created the Klingons. And if this was Gene L. Kuhn's original and maybe his actual vision of the Klingons, I really like it. I really, really like the Klingons as presented here. Nothing against the kind of the iconic Klingons, with the ridges and the war and the leather and the batleths and all that stuff. Sure, I absolutely like that too, but I'm surprised by how much I really like this. It was incredibly well done. With hey, here, just the setup was really good. At no point when you're thinking the Klingons, obviously, the benefit of having known what the Klingons are. But again, I don't even think, and maybe somebody that watched this one, for the first time, I know a lot of you were able to really live the dream of watching these things come out originally live, the first time they were aired. That must have, again, I can't think of anything that would be more mind-blowing because it was just, it started everything, and to be able to watch these for the first time must have been unbelievably cool. But anyway, somebody that watched that, if you can remember, and I'm sure somebody can, it seems like it was explained so well at the top of this episode that there was no real confusion. Like, I mean, they're talking brink of war, we're at war, code 1, all this stuff. But it seemed organic enough in the delivery and description we got at the beginning of this episode that, I mean, again, I know what Klingons are, or who they are. For those of you that didn't, was it confusing, that beginning part? Because it seemed really well kind of planted and planned for me, like storyboarded out. But I'm curious, if you don't, but I have that backstop of Klingon knowledge. If you didn't, was it confusing? I'm curious about that. And, again, what an amazing, just the first time we saw the Klingons. Just crazy stuff. Crazy stuff. This show is a beauty. It is, just like the Enterprise herself, the original series is a beauty. And I thank you all for being here with me. But, like I said, I need to know more about the Klingons. Who do I lay the congratulatory, hey, there you go. Whose feet do I put the Klingons at for their creation and development? I believe it's Gene L. Kuhn, but we have to figure out. And there's no real way for me to figure out all these bits and bobs of what went on behind Errand of Mercy without a little help. And there's only one being that can really help me out with all of this. Q. Greetings, mon capitaines, and welcome to another installment of Q&A. Friends, this is where, after having watched an original series episode, I'd like to dig a little bit deeper and find some trivia and fun facts about the episode that, had I looked it up before, would definitely have ruined the reaction, or at least tempered it a bit. But to make sure that my ramblings, or Q's ramblings to be fair, don't drift all over the place into the weeds, I've tried to focus myself down into 5 distinct categories in which to explore. 1, who was our writer and who was our director? 2, who were our guest stars, or did we have any? 3, of the core cast, or the big 6, who was present? 4, our production notes. What was the story behind the story? Because I've said it once and I'll say it a million times, the story behind Star Trek is every bit as compelling and interesting as the story in front of the camera. And last but certainly not least, from this episode, what was a memorable quote or memorable quotes that we could use or carry with us into future explorations of the original series? Friends, let's get started. Now, my friends, our first category, who was our writer and who was our director? Well, our writer was a well-known name, none other than producer extraordinaire Gene L. Kuhn. And our director was a brand new name, as the opposite end of the spectrum could go, in the form of John Newland, a rookie Star Trek director, and I think he did a hell of a job right out of the gate. And now our next section, guest stars. Who were our guest stars in this episode? We had several, but I narrowed it down to the two, I guess, primary or lead guest stars that we had in this episode. First, of course, was John Abbott, who played the Organian temporary High Council leader, Aelborn. I thought he did a fantastic job of portraying this kind of godlike pacifist in a way, that very smiley, very calm delivery that he had really carried the character. Great, great job. And last but certainly not least, and I'm probably going to butcher this name because it's me, but John Calicos played Commander Core. Friends, this is what I'm going to tell you about this character. I thought the portrayal was absolutely impeccable. It was amazing. Hands down, one of my favorite all-time guest stars in Star Trek, the original series. Thought it was just an all-around great. So great that even though I have experienced Klingons before in the movies and a couple of Star Trek The Next Generation episodes, from now on, from this point forward, anytime I see a Klingon, I will immediately compare him to Calicos' portrayal of Commander Core. Amazing stuff, sets not only the lore, but the bar very, very high. Love it. Now, our third category, the core cast, or the big six of Kirk, Spock, McCoy, Uhura, Sulu, and Scotty. Of the big six, who appeared or who didn't appear? In this episode, we actually had two major, I guess, characters not appear. Bones was not there, nor was Scotty. This is actually, and we'll mention a little bit about this in the production notes, the last time that we're going to see one of those characters not appear anymore. It's their last absence. But I think it's interesting that we still are having characters float in and out. But I've been told that as the seasons progress, that goes away as everybody kind of gets on the production schedule and actually gets paid to be there, which is a pretty big selling point if you want to be on a show. And now, friends, our fourth category, production notes. And this is where the rubber meets the road, because this is where we find out the fun stuff that happened behind the scenes, where bits of lore and bits of canon were created on the fly, whether or not we had script problems. But the good news about Errand of Mercy, this one had very few problems, but a lot of interesting stuff that goes on behind the scenes. Let's get into it. The first one, and this is, anytime DC Fontana makes a quote, I find that I agree 99.999% of the time with whatever she says. For me, her voice seems to be the most agreeable to what I have, as far as what my tastes are. She seems to share those, and I really appreciate everything she says. So we're going to start off with a DC Fontana kind of quote and blurb. She felt that the Klingons became the primary adversaries of the Federation and de facto the Enterprise because of the ease of their costuming and the ease and the I guess the inexpensive nature of their makeup. She, however, preferred the Romulans because she felt them to be the stronger adversaries. And you know what? From what we've seen so far, and just from my natural kind of preference for the Romulans, I guess I should say I distaste the Romulans more than the Klingons. So I always feel them to be the better adversaries. So once again, I agree with DC. Now, the next point, and this is something that we actually mentioned in the reaction, Aelborn actually says to Core and Kirk towards the end that at some point in the future, you all are going to be fast friends and going forward allies in this galactic world. Obviously paraphrasing a bit, but that actually turns out to be very prophetic and comes to pass as the Federation and the Klingons eventually become very strong. We had a couple hiccups now and again, but become very strong allies in the future. And I think and I feel in my soul that was created between the interplay between Core and Kirk. Just an incredible, almost like a mutual respect, bordering on friendship, bordering on like an actual admiration that would gift itself to, higher praise. An incredible establishment of the Klingon culture and its relation to the Federation. And now our next little production note. This is the very first time, not that Sulu has taken command, we've seen that before, but this is the first time that Sulu has actually taken the chair. Now, fun little note. In the season 1 of the original series, whenever Scotty has taken the chair, Sulu hasn't been there. And whenever Sulu has taken the chair, Scotty hasn't been there. So they never had to establish if both of them were there, who would take the chair. Spoiler alert, and I found this out during my research, that when it comes down to both of them being present, Scotty does have seniority and does take the chair over Sulu. Now, our next production note is a short one. This is the very last episode that DeForest Kelley and or Leonard Bones would miss. At this point going forward, schedules were cleared up, and Bones became such an integral part of the show. He was put on the basically permanent call list going forward, much like Spock and Kirk. So this is the very last one that we will miss Bones. Present and accounted for, Leonard will be from now on. And our next one, this is the one that breaks my heart. John Colicos was scheduled to be in 2 additional episodes during the regular series run, but the actor was unavailable when both shooting schedules materialized. He had promised to, desperately wanted to redo Commander Kor and once again jump back into his Klingon boots, and had agreed in principle to appear in both episodes. But unfortunately, because of the fluid nature of the original series' shooting schedule and the more established shooting schedule that John Colicos had to follow with his line of work, whether it be in movie or television, he was already committed when these shows actually got into production schedules. And so he missed both of those. And now here's the one that, if you're a fan of Kor, is going to break your heart. They wrote an episode, this is the rumor, there was a specific episode written specifically for and including Commander Kor. It was supposed to be some type of introspective, retrospective, Kirk and Kor again, kind of not necessarily going head to head. They didn't spoil as to what the actual nature of the episode was, but its focus was said to be Kor as opposed to the Enterprise. I felt that was amazing. What was the problem? It was slated for season 4. And thus, because of the cancellation at the end of season 3, we never got to see this episode, and we never got to see this Commander Kor specific story that they had desperately wanted to bring to the screen. That's a heartbreaker, friends. And last, but certainly not least, and this is the one that I love. The other ones break my heart, and I think this one stitches it back together a little bit, because when we get there, I'm going to make note of this. Hopefully my Swiss cheese brain will remember. But this is a special production note that has really little to do with the original series. The baldric worn by Kor in this episode was reused much, much later and became the baldric worn by Worf in the first season of The Next Generation. I love it. So a little bit of Kor lives on. A little bit of Kor lives on. I guess we'll have to take what we can get. And our final category, my friends, memorable quotes. And this one for me boils down to how to shape what is to come, what is now, and all of the greatness that will basically be Kirk's interaction with the Klingons going forward that I remember from some of the movies. But this is the establishment that this exchange really, in my mind, sums up at least the early nature of the Klingon Federation relationship, I guess. Let's get into this. Kirk says towards the very end of the episode, "Well, Commander, I guess that takes care of the war. Obviously, the Organians aren't going to let us fight." And Kor says, "A shame, Captain. It would have been glorious." I love that. Each used the other's honorific, Commander, Captain, respect, a true admiration, a true respect between these two commanders, these two leaders of Klingons and leaders of Federation officers, to the point where just moments before this exchange, Kor suggested, when the Organians kind of flexed their power, he suggested that together he and Kirk could take the Organians because he had an army. This indicates not only a willingness to suspend hostilities, but an actual overture to work as allies. Friends, I don't think I've ever seen foreshadowing presented in such a manner and in such an almost overt way as to be so deliciously hidden. Great, great stuff. And of course, that proves Eoborn's prophecy correct in that one day the Klingons and the Federation would not only be friends, but allies working together. And thus ends another installment of Q&A. Until we meet again, behave.